So today's lesson is going to help you if you have ever began reading a text and the words were so difficult that you had no idea what the author was talking about. Now, sometimes texts are easy enough where we can just read them and answer the questions. But sometimes authors use language that are above our vocabulary. So it's really important to break down the advanced language so we can truly understand the text and make meaning. So in this assignment, you have your questions in the box as you run throughout the text. But we can't truly answer these questions as if we don't understand all the language and what the author is trying to convey. So what I'd like you to do, whether your teacher has you do the entire text yourself, or if they chunk the text in small groups, I'd like you to go through and highlight any words that you're not sure of the meaning, or any phrases that you are not sure you understand. So for example, in the first paragraph, I found two words or phrases that I felt would be difficult for students. One was dubiously, and one was lingua franca. So when we read this paragraph, we're going to highlight words as we read. So let's begin. Beyonce quoted the movie in the liner notes of her first solo album. When Kerry Washington appeared on the cover of In Style with dubiously light skin, I'm going to highlight it because I'm not familiar with that word. With dubiously light skin, Black women across Twitter referenced it. A type of natural hair twist is named after it. And when a friend texted me that she was eloping, I responded by sending her a scene from the movie. 30 years since its film's adaptation, The Color Purple lingers as perhaps the cultural touchstone for Black women in America, a kind of lingua franca of familiarity and friendship. Okay, so once you've highlighted the things that you are unfamiliar with, we are going to insert comment, and we are going to put the definition of the word in your own words. The best way to do this is just to put a synonym, one that could replace that word in the sentence and make sense as you read it. So I'll do the first one. Dubiously means questionably. So now you have your comment. So when you read that sentence, it reads now, when Kerry Washington appeared on the cover of In Style with questionably light skin, Black women across Twitter referenced it. Right, that makes sense to me. Now, skipping to the last sentence, the color purple lingers as perhaps the cultural touchstone for Black women in America, a kind of lingua franca of familiarity and friendship. I actually had to look this one up. But what it means is it is a language or maybe like a dialect that links people together. So I'm going to say a language that links people together. So now I'm going to reread that sentence. The color purple lingers as perhaps the cultural touchstone for Black women in America, a kind of language that links people together of familiarity and friendship. That makes so much more sense to me, because what it's saying here is that the novel, The Color Purple, kind of links or connects Black women because it creates a sense of familiarity and friendship. Now, if I go back and read this whole paragraph, it is much easier to answer this question. What is meant by cultural touchstone? So let's read the whole paragraph again. We're going to insert the synonyms or phrases and see if we can answer this. Beyonce quoted the movie in the liner notes of her first solo album. When Kerry Washington appeared on the cover of In Style with questionably light skin, Black women across Twitter referenced it. A type of natural hair twist is named after it. And when a friend texted me that she was eloping, I responded by sending her a scene from the movie. 30 years since its film's adaptation, The Color Purple lingers as perhaps the cultural touchstone for Black women in America, a kind of language that links people together of familiarity and friendship. What is meant by a cultural touchstone? Well, what it means is, really, this is what answered it for me. The color purple is a symbol. Let's see. A symbol that connects Black women across generations. And the reason I said across generations is because 30 years, and it also speaks of people of different generations. Twitter, Kerry Washington, Beyonce, and then she speaks of, these are, and not just generations, but a symbol that connects Black women across generations, across groups, among groups and generations. What they're saying here is that no matter where Black women come from in the country, no matter how they were raised, no matter who they connect with or identify with, all Black women can identify and connect with the novel, The Color Purple. I would never have been able to come to that understanding if I had not tried to identify and define some of the language in the first paragraph. So I'll give you a little peek. I highlighted some words that I thought students might have a hard time with. Depending on how your teacher assigns this, maybe you'll find the same words. This is a strategy that you use before you read. Then you read, and hopefully when you replace the word with a synonym or you replace the word with a phrase, it helps your understanding. And then you can better answer the questions.